Hi, and welcome to Thor's Day Comics. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Starr and the Solar Legion. All three of those books are available for pre-order by following the pre-order links in the show notes below. It's issue 121 of Journey into Mystery with Thor, still sporting the Marvel Pop Art Productions corner box. And it's the return of the Absorbing Man, one of my favorite Marvel villains. Got a really nice cover here. This copy obviously used to belong to Gary Groth, the publisher of Fantagraphics. The power, the passion, the pride of all the foes he has ever battled, none came closer to defeating the mighty thunder god than he who is called the Absorbing Man. And now, on his return to New York, Thor finds himself menaced once again by the one deadly enemy whose powers can match his very own. Expect to see a Marvel masterwork. You'll still be pleasantly surprised. Another towering triumph for Stan Lee writer. Another fabulous feat for Jack Kirby illustrator. Another amazing achievement for Vince Colletta delineator. Another day, another dollar for Artie Simic letterer. And as always, Jack Kirby is the co-writer of this story, not just the illustrator. The Absorbing Man shows up in the final pages of the previous issue, and now the battle's on. We get that kind of, classic sort of cliffhanger Marvel rhythm. And now here he is. He's made contact with the brick of this wall, and he himself is now made of brick. Just, wonderful drawings, great action. And the continual transformation is just great. These sort of morphing characters, like Plastic Man comes to mind, are just really made for the comics medium, where you have to redraw and reset with every panel. So why not have a guy who can completely change his appearance from panel to panel? And now he's grabbed Thor's hammer, and he's turning into the same Uru metal that Thor's hammer is made out of. We've established that nobody, unless they're worthy, can lift the hammer of Thor, and time and again we've seen characters try and fail, incredibly strong characters, and the reason you do that is so that the times where somebody does manage to pick it up, you're like, uh-oh. He holds on, but he can't hold on for long, and he can feel the pressure of it pulling away, throws it back at Thor. It goes through this lamppost, embeds itself in the wall, and then he gets ready for a big swing. I like the dynamic balance of this panel, and wham, this is just, great action adventure, which is a little surprising, but this was not a standard part of superhero comics in this period. Superhero comics were very light on action, the sort of DC comics. And it was only, Jack Kirby and Marvel in the 60s that kind of brought this, slugfest, this battle royale to superhero comics. And you think about what's going on in the popular culture around this time. Wrestling, television wrestling is having a resurgence in the 60s. And this feels, akin to that. That hammer that got embedded in the wall is now flying back to Thor's hand, and it's pulling this chunk of wall with it and knocking Thor off balance. So he loses the advantage that he has at this point, and Crusher Creel gets to catch his breath. Loki is watching the whole thing happen, and Absorbing Man is more powerful than he was last time, and we get the sense that Loki is probably giving him like a little extra power boost, even though I haven't seen it expressed in the text yet, but the picture seems to imply that. And then Loki is surprised. Balder has stopped by to visit, and Loki is supposed to be the apprentice to Ulrich the Warlock, and it looks like Loki's kind of got the run of the place, and Ulrich is nowhere to be found. Balder is kind of skeeved by Loki, and he's like, I got to get out of here. The very sight of thee is offensive to mine eyes. So we're also starting to get more of that sort of pseudo-Shakespearean speech, which was not an element of Thor in the very beginning. It's sort of, only starting to take hold in the past few issues. And Loki is, plotting and scheming, and how different Baldur's tune shall be if he is still alive when Loki is Lord of Asgard. So Thor's trying to find the absorbing man. He's causing a panic in the streets. And the reason why is he's absorbed the very power of the city and is now becoming, he's New York powered. He's this colossus of stone and iron. You could not defeat me before, so now you seek victory by absorbing the concrete and steel of the buildings around you, by transforming yourself into a veritable colossus of stone and iron. Call it what you want to, Thunder God. You just made your biggest mistake attacking me now. Your last mistake. Just beautiful splash page. I love this, car doing a U-turn, and wham, he gets punched by this giant fist, thrown backwards, digs his hammer into that wall. Thor hit his hammer against his fist as he punched, and so this, that blow hurt the absorbing man probably more than it did Thor. Now he's grabbing some iron from a construction site, becoming more made of iron himself. Throws that ball at Thor. Thor smashes it. Just a really great battle royale with specific bits and tense and release of energy. Now the police are showing up en masse. Jane Foster is watching the whole thing, but she's being held prisoner by this mysterious masked guy. And I have to admit, I haven't read this comic in a while, and I did kind of forget. I'm like, who is that behind the mask? She's watching the battle happen on TV. And of course, back then, the TV's in black and white. He leaves her locked up. We don't know anything yet. Loki is looking down through this visiscope at the sleeping Ulrich, the warlock, sleeping. And yep, he's still asleep. And then he sees Balder leaving Asgard on his horse. He sees Odin is, just goofing off. So the stage is set for my greatest feat of evil, one so daring, so sublime in its villainy that it will rock the very stones of Asgard themselves. And we cut back to this Norn stone that Thor dropped a while back and is still just sitting there. As they say, keeping a lot of balls in the air, little story bits that can possibly flower into something in future issues or not. Seeds you plant that as a writer that hopefully will grow into something when you're working on this sort of serialized narrative. And the fight continues. Again, the battle is very the beats of it are very specific, very unique, and very exciting. And there's really no equivalent to this at this time. You're only going to get this sort of thing from Jack Kirby. You're not going to get this at DC. Not for a while, at least. Fantastic Four is now entering its, period of greatness with the arrival of Gorgon, opening the door to the cosmic phase of the Fantastic Four. And we're approaching the apex of the Ditko run on Spider-Man, and then shortly after that, it's ending after Ditko leaves. But this is, we're just an issue or two away from Spider-Man lifting up all that heavy stuff. Absorbing Man locks himself into a vault. Thor rips the door off, and now the fight continues. This is really nice. These kind of fights, when I saw Terminator 2, and you had the T-1000 versus the T-800 or whatever it is, the standard Terminator, that was sort of the closest thing I'd seen to this sort of Jack Kirby Marvel battles where you see like the walls sort of smash in, and then you see them smash through. These sort of fights where everything's getting destroyed. That's the thing. I never really saw anything like this in a Superman comic. Up to this point where Superman faces off in a battle royale with somebody his equal, and with the fight sort of proceeding in a convincing, sort of earth-shattering way. They're at a standoff, but there's a little child who's running into the area. Maybe a kid who once is a fan of Thor, wants to be near Thor, and Thor has to make sure that the kid is safe. And by doing that, by turning his back to help this child, the absorbing man gets his cheap shot in, which knocks Thor unconscious. Look at this. I mean, this could be a splash page. This is almost like the knockout splash page from Superman versus Muhammad Ali, but really nice panel. Like if you really zoom in on it, of Thor just kind of like knocked out, flattened. Absorbing man is triumphant. He didn't win cleanly, but he won. And that's the cliffhanger we're left with. The Fantastic Four annual, the wedding of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Girl. And now we have Tales of Asgard, home of the mighty Norse gods, Maelstrom. So this epic quest continues. This Jason and the Argonauts kind of adventure continues. Really great stuff. A beautiful opening splash. Hoping to postpone the day of Ragnarok, the end of the world, when even the gods shall perish, Thor leads his mighty crew of Argonauts into the dread sea of fear, searching for the hidden forces of evil who threaten immortal Asgard. Beware, we approach the deadly pillars of Utgard. To sail between them means instant destruction. A saga steeped in grandeur by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, writer-illustrator, delineated by Vince Colletta, lettered by Artie Simic. And again, this story is, it's not just illustrated by Jack Kirby, it's co-written by him. So we get one great splash page, then another great splash page with, this one shows the scale, this tiny boat and these giant, jagged, talon-like rocks that they're about to crash against. And then this one, you get, all the people, the human drama as they're trying to keep this boat from flipping over. Really great stuff. They're really caught in a maelstrom. Everybody's yelling. Loki's yelling. Thor's yelling. Big splash comes. It's knocking guys over. According to the legends, the pillars are merely the feet of the Utgard dragon. Beneath the waves, his jaws lie open, waiting for every ship that passes. Cease your endless prattle, boy. Even death can be glorious in the service of one such as Thor. Getting closer and closer. Thor's telling everybody to paddle away. To warriors of Asgard, to oars. Let us pit our muscles, our brawn against the power of the maelstrom. And so they're heading out there with their oars, with their super cool looking armor. And Thor's urging them on. Just really great composition here. Nice sense of depth and of that sort of the strength and effort everybody's putting into this rowing. And again, great helmets. Look at that one with that little dragon on top of it. Faster, harder, row, Asgardians, row as never before, in the name of Odin. And then we got this little bit of side action going on. Meanwhile, unnoticed by the others, a lone figure attempts the dangerous climb atop the ship's figurehead. In the buffeting wind and storm, I must make it, I must. As the daring immortal turns, we see that it is Balder. Balder the brave, Balder the loyal, the bold. Desperately, he drags a great horn to his precarious perch for a reason that none of us will know. Till next issue, just a little further, and it will be done. Till we meet next month, may the gods smile upon thee as we do. Great, amazing drama, and composed and delivered in a way that was completely unprecedented in the comic form. And I'd say in a way that, you weren't really, Jason and the Argonauts is a great movie, and it's not as good as this. And letters column, The Hammer Strikes. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And from Image Comics, Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Starr and the Solar Legion. All three of those books are available for pre-order by following the pre-order links in the show notes below. I'll see you next Thursday.